Hey guys, how you doing? I'm gonna put together a little bit of political video today. Hope you're doing well and you're maintaining sanity in our times of upheaval and change. Today somebody had asked me about that kid, he's 20 years old, that took a shot at the president, the orange knucklehead, back last summer. And I looked into his energy. Somebody had asked to see if he was paid off, kind of thing. I'll tell you what I got. It's more personal than that. And then somebody asked me about Karoline Leavitt. Quick peek into her energy and what she's planning. The June 14th parade that celebrates the Army's 250th birthday, I believe, and shocking, the Orange Knucklehead's birthday, June 14th, and also Flag Day. So I looked into that to see if it was going to happen or how it was going to be modified because it's super duper expensive. I also dove into Pete Hegseth and his Pentagon pitfalls and party times at the Pentagon. A little bit of a surprising image I got. And also looked into, I know this sounds like a funny thing, looked into Prince Harry and his view now. He was going to try and he went to Charles Spencer's uncle to see if he should apply to have his name changed to Spencer, like his mother's. So I looked into that to see if that was going to change. And he actually, I got some really interesting images between him and William, his brother, which I didn't expect. And I think that's it. So let's get started. Let's get started. Thank you to all my commenters and viewers alike on my last video with Geronimo and Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. So interesting. So interesting. If you guys have a time to look at that, or if you're interested, them and their soul paths and what they did here and how it was related to their time on this earth and what they learned. And anyway, so I'm going to start off with, just real quick, I just got an email from somebody in the Netherlands, France, I think, and I just checked it, and he mentioned that, because I felt like Queen Victoria in my last video I mentioned when I was channeling her a little bit, and she sees Harry, as not part of the family. And I thought, well, maybe because he's a spare. And this France suggested that the rumor is that Diana had an affair with James Hewitt. And I had a vague memory of that because he had red hair too. And so I'm going to pull some cards on that. But meanwhile, when I got into his energy, Harry, if you haven't been here before, I have to take notes when I meditate, so because I can't remember everything. Just zooms around. I actually see William somehow connecting with him. And I don't know why all of a sudden, because in the past I've seen William very angry and that he's over it. And I thought when he gets to be king, he will cut him off. But this energy I got just now was that they actually, I don't know if it's via text or through somebody, or maybe Harry reached out to him. Maybe that's it. But somehow they're connecting. And it's not like love and light or anything. It's just a back and forth. And I saw William saying something to him, and I got this, don't do anything stupid. So I don't know if that's the Spencer thing or something else Harry's thinking about doing. But I do feel within Harry a deep sadness and anger. And I felt like this, he's very confused. And I know he's done stupid things and he's all aligned with this idea of being a victim. That's his badge of honor right now. But I think over time, and I got this, he's going to start seeing more and more that his wife is not doing what she says she's doing. It's like he's been living with rose-colored glasses. And I've had a couple people on here in my comments. You guys, I don't hate Megan. I just think they're not good for each other. And she uses the situation. And I think she's a narcissist, malignant narcissist. I don't know, but it's not good for him. And he wanted somebody like his mother to help him process life. And unfortunately, he picked the wrong person. But I feel like he's going to start to see that she doesn't know what she's doing more and more as these different, identities or business ideas with the As Ever or with Megan or with Love Megan or whatever it is on her Netflix shows, or these different things are not going to come to fruition, or they're not going to evolve into something that's going to be really good. And little cracks are showing. That's the feeling I got, is he's starting to see the cracks happening. But she blames the media, obviously, and he's still doing that. But it's going to show over time. And I asked him, he's throwing everything at the wall right now. He's just all over the place. His energy is very erratic, and he's throwing everything at the wall to see how to solve their issue, because he can't directly blame her, because that's no bueno. But I asked him, what if you lose your titles? What if William or whoever? And he says, I won't. I can't. It would take an act of parliament. He said, it will be resolved to some degree. And I felt like he's closer, maybe baby steps, to an apology to his brother and his father. He can't see out of his marriage yet. I feel like, but he is getting closer. And I feel like she's going to do something that's going to tip it that way, and to show her hand. And it'll be like the last straw. And it may be somebody else, and it embarrasses him. He gets, publicly embarrassed by it. I think that's what's going to happen. Can't tell you when. But as for Mr. Hewitt and Diana, you know what? It's a good possibility. And I don't think they ever did DNA, right? Because he definitely has curly red hair. But his uncle has curly hair too. And Diana had kind of wavy hair and blondish. So red hair is a recessive gene. You never know. Queen of Pentacles. Diana was a Cancer. Page of Cups. Which, here's our red. I know it's this kind of Page of Cups is a dreamy child, but also having these like far off imaginary things. But she's got some wavy red hair. You see that going on? Okay, did Diana, is Harry James Hewitt? Oh, maybe. I'm feeling it. Wow. Okay, I don't know what this means. In this deck, there's a couple cards. There's two of. Like, I think the Magician has two. And a couple of the male cards have two. Like the Emperor. And this card, everybody in it is female. But the King of Swords, I got two King of Swords. So this is the King of Swords, which is a female. And this is another King of Swords. So I pulled out two King of Swords. It's an air sign. I don't know what James Hewitt is, but it's an air sign. But it doesn't really matter. I think what I'm going to take this as is there were some hard decisions, executive, take no prisoners kind of decision back in the day. And they did not, I think the Queen even knew. I think they did. Prince Philip, even though he loved Diana, Prince Philip did. I think they knew. And they still loved Harry because that's not his fault. But I think they knew. And, I think it is. Wow. I didn't expect that. I thought that's just gossip and because he looks different. Very interesting. Don't know. But that's what I got. Because Queen Victoria, she told me, like, he's just basically tangentially royal. He's not, or royal adjacent. And I thought it was just because he was on the line from Diana, but not. Yeah. So there you go. Maybe if that solves anything. So somebody asked me about Karoline Leavitt. I had looked in her before, and in the past, I saw her in the Oval Office, and I'm sitting there taking notes, and as her, because I get in her energy, she's furiously taking notes, and she's planning, and how she's got all these talking points to combat the different questions from the reporters. At this time, I feel like she's more scattered, and a little bit more on her heels, as they say, because of this thing with Elon Musk coming out with the, it's an abomination. The big, beautiful bill is a terrible bill. But a lot of the things in there, they cut out that are going to help him. The electric car rebates, and supported of that person that he wanted to oversee the, I forget, some department. And Trump pulled his nomination for that guy, Isaacson of some kind, or Isaacman or something. Anyway, so I know it's good that we're agreeing with Elon Musk in this moment, but remember, he pays for what he wants. So tomorrow he may pay to somebody to be in a position for him to get what he wants. So just be careful who we go to bed with, lie in bed with. Anyway, but she had to deal with that because they were, I guess, in real time asking her, was it yesterday, about that tweet that Musk put out. And she's like, it's like they're throwing, dodgeball, and she's like dodging everything. But she feels very powerful. I still feel like she feels very powerful. She's in control, even though she's got she's keeping all the balls in the air. How many metaphors can I do today? But it feels like she's keeping all the balls in the air, and she feels capable. She feels confident in her ability to do that. And she likes to communicate the positive, obviously. But I do see that they're starting to be a crack. They're starting to be a little bit of a possibility, like if she was a thermometer instead of 100% or whatever, she's more like at 86 right now. She's thinking, and it would come out like, I want to spend more time with my family, kind of thing. So yeah, she believes it. She drank the Kool-Aid, honestly. I'm going to do the parade. Somebody had asked, and I was interested if that June 14th parade will happen, the military parade for the 250th anniversary, I think it's of the Army, and it's Flag Day, and it's the Orange Knucklehead's birthday. And he wants to do the authoritarian thing and just parade all the military vehicles around and show how forceful and strong we are. So when I got into the energy of the generals or the people in charge, and I don't think it's Pete Hegseth has something to do with it, but I'll tell you about him in a second. I feel like these generals, there's higher ups that are not really a fan of this situation. Something about the cost and also the wear and tear on these vehicles. I don't know what that means, because I feel like they're in combat and stuff. But there's something about that where the fuel, but also the wear and tear, it makes no sense. It's illogical that they would want to parade them on this street. And they want to limit the vehicle's wear and tear, and they see it as, like I said, an authority. But they're proud to have the Army's birthday shown. So they're a little conflicted, but these are higher ups. Now we have some under the regular soldiers that think it's okay, it's fine. And I saw little kids waving little baby flags. You know how they do, those little tiny flags on Pennsylvania Avenue. I feel like it's going to happen. And there'll be protesters. And I looked to see if there'll be anybody trying to really do some serious damage. But it's going to be so much security because of this. And because obviously there'll be a lot of soldiers there and military stuff, that people won't be able to do anything But I do see some protests on the edges, some pretty vocal ones across the road, but they'll be squashed or quashed or whatever. I feel like it's going to cost millions of dollars, which we could have used to, support the SNAP programs. And it's actually, this is Knight of Swords. This moves fast. But I also see the newspaper on her dress. This is news really fast. Is there going to be a change? You know what? I think it might not be as big as they're saying it is even now. I think they're going to make it much less flamboyant. Yeah, I think so. I think the people that make the decision, well, Trump thinks he does, but there's going to be some discussions where it's going to be, it's bad. It's a bad look. It costs so much. Although every time he goes to Mar-a-Lago, it costs taxpayers $3 million because of all the Secret Service and all the shenanigans down there. But that's the vision I get. But I see him very proud, like he did when he was on the balcony during COVID, taking a breath. All right, let's get to the Department of Defense. Speaking of the military, Pete Hegseth, I see him sneaking. This is for entertainment purposes only. I see him drinking again. I also see him sneaking around doing it. I see a woman. I think it's his wife. Yeah, and I think she's concerned. And I also see some medication of some kind. I don't know, legal or illegal. I'm not sure about that. But I feel like there's a couple things happening here with him. He's dealing with stuff. Now, they were going to take down some of the civil rights leaders. I don't know if it's images or displays or something at the Pentagon. So he's declared they're all going to be removed. Because that makes a lot of sense. Behind the scenes, I don't feel like that signage, and I could be wrong, I feel like the media is making more of it than it really is. It may not be like a whole wall, a whole room or anything. I feel like it's just a section somewhere or in different locations, and it's being removed. Or yeah, and I feel like he's for sure in charge of that and does not want that to be up anymore. And no highlighting people with brown skin or colored skin, or not colored, but any color skin other than pasty white. But I don't feel like it's everywhere. I feel like it's just I don't feel like it's that, many people wouldn't even notice, is my point. It's just the idea of it, I think. And it's part of the whitewashing of everything. But they will come back. All those displays will come back, and actually with some renewed honor. I feel like they'll have another ceremony or something, and it'll even be more highlighted or more focused or lit or visible or something. Eventually, it'll come back. Maybe they'll have a section of the building dedicated, or a room, or something that will be more visible. That's the feeling I get eventually. But right now, they're just removing those displays. And I know his future, he's on deck. Knight of Cups is an offer. I see Knight of Cups is usually a nice offer of a romantic way or something, pulling on the strings of your heart. This is the card. She's strumming his heart. Strumming his heartstrings. Pete. Oh, there are people talking around him. The generals or the other leadership at the Pentagon are they closing in? No, not yet. They feel like they're making a circle around him. Maybe they can't get close because he's kicked them out or something. But they're all talking amongst themselves to complain about what he's doing. But this isn't, they aren't the ones that would get rid of him. They're just people that were there or still are there in the administration of the Pentagon. And he is just poor management. He doesn't know what he's doing. Actually, I think this alcohol thing and there's going to be something else like Signalgate or something he's going to screw up. And it'll be it. Yeah. And I think it's going to be really big and really embarrassing. Really. And people will be like, really? You did that? You didn't learn from the last time? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And the woman, his wife, I feel like she has something to do with this. And I don't know if she's going to encourage him to leave or maybe just so he saves his embarrassment or saves face somehow. But it's not good. 9 of Cups, which is a wish card. From Pete Hegseth's viewpoint, how does he feel like he's doing? He feels like he's doing great. He feels like he's being judged. He feels like people are too hard on him. He feels like he's being too hard, and he's sort of trapped because he's limited in what he can and can't do. He feels like he wants to do, but there's so many. It's just a huge department, and he's got so much to do, and he feels like he can only do so much with the money he's got. I think he feels like he doesn't have enough money. And what about him getting kicked out? Will he get kicked out? Yeah, he's going to do this thing, whatever it is. Yeah. And it's not good. And it's something, a betrayal, a secret, a criminal act per se, but wrong. Just wrong. Okay, there you go. Pete Hegseth and the Department of Defense. And let's see. What was the last thing I was going to do? Oh, yeah. So this kid that took a shot at the orange knucklehead. So Thomas Crooks. Thomas Matthew Crooks. I think he was born in 2003 or 4. So he was only 20 years old. It was last summer at a rally in Pennsylvania. And somebody had asked me if I could look into him to see if he was paid off. So I get into his energy, and he's gone now, obviously, but I'm getting into his energy from that period of time before. I don't feel anybody, just a spoiler alert, there isn't anybody paying him off, but I don't feel he has a high IQ. I feel thin and like hillbilly-ish, kind of. And although I come from a long line of hillbillies, no, don't get me wrong, but he feels not intelligent. That's the feeling I get. Low IQ. So maybe he doesn't have emotional intelligence, or he doesn't use his critical thinking. And he's sort of, I think, feels like into a psychotic episode in a way. The conditions, he uses bad calculations. It's like he's not in his right mind. Don't think it's drugs. I don't feel like it is. It might be a little bit, but there's something happening in here that doesn't make sense, obviously. And there's influencers online that he's watching a lot. And there's something about them. And I don't feel like it's the left. I don't feel like it's democratic ones. It feels like right-wingers, people that encourage violence, people that think that that's okay. He's watching that. So it's getting him all amped up. And he wasn't paid, like I said, but he wanted fame. He wanted to be seen. And the big thing, and he wasn't sure what would happen. He wasn't sure. He didn't logically extrapolate and go, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get away and I have this plan and I'm going to run over here. He didn't think that far ahead. And I see his father handing him that gun. So I don't know if he gave it as a gift. I don't know anything about that. I don't think his father said, oh, go and do this, It wasn't that. It's something to do with his father, though. I feel like he has daddy problems, daddy issues. And something about his father and his relationship that he needs to gain attention from his father about this. there's something like broken, not in the relationship, but also up here in the way he processes information. And he logically thinks, well, if I do this, my father will see me as strong, or I'll get his attention. Finally. It's like, it makes no sense. It's something like, I'll show you vibe kind of thing. Maybe his father said something about him being weak, or so the people online influenced him to do just to give him the ideas. They didn't go do this or anything like that, and I don't feel like anybody paid him, but I think he thought if he did that and he got away with it, he would become this anti-hero, or this person who everybody would talk about and raise him up, and it would combat some of that, oh, my dad didn't love me, or I need attention kind of thing. Deeply hurt and angry and confused. I just feel like he's confused. He didn't know, and to get dad's attention, very intensely angry, wanted to make history. Did you know you were going to die? I asked him. He said no and yes. He's like, I didn't really think I would, but I didn't plan it. I didn't know it wasn't possible that I would get away with it. I didn't go, oh, I'm going to die in a blaze of glory. Although he did say it was possible. He said I wasn't sure, but he knew it was possible. But shimmying up those top of those roofs, and he didn't think that it would. Did you think that you were going to get caught up there? They wouldn't come and get you? I think he thought he would get away before then. He thought he would somehow run and hide, and they couldn't find him. I sees the right wing using him as propaganda tool now after the fact. He sees that, and he, now on the other side, he's transitioned. He's going through a lot of healing. There's a lot of issues there, not just this, a lot of childhood, a lot of stuff with the family. He just doesn't feel smart. He feels like nobody with this frame of mind should ever have a gun in their hand, ever. Not logical. It's like deliverance vibe, you know what I mean? Not good. And did you think you were going to get away with it? He knows he can see that they're using this as a propaganda tool because, of course, Trump with his fist in the air and the blood and all that. He's part of the violence, the movement, the violence movement. That's what it is. It's a practical, open way to deal with problems. And now it's in the open. And that's what he did. But it wasn't like he didn't like him. It was more about getting attention. Isn't that weird? And he meant to take him out. He did. Just happened to be. Because some people said, oh, he dropped down just in that moment. I think he took, if I read something, he took 6 shots. I don't think he would have. It wasn't like organized and like Trump would drop down and right then and there. I don't think that was it. But I do think the police there were really, well, I think they were embarrassed. I'm not going to get into their energy, but yeah. Anyway, to answer that question, thank you all for coming by and continue your suggestions. Like I say, I have a running list, and I touch on things when I feel compelled. I am going to do Atlantis and Brian Koberger. I was going to add him to this, but I'll do that as a separate thing. You guys take care. Stay sane. All is well. Till next time.